comes your weekly dose of brain food. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. Verne Troyer, the actor who plays Mini-Me in the Austin Powers movies, has to do all of his own stunts because at 81 centimeters tall, there's no stunt double his size that can fill in for him. In 2006, a rare grizzly and polar bear hybrid species was confirmed in Canada called pizzly bears or growler bears. Global warming is causing polar bears' habitats to melt, so they find shelter elsewhere and end up mating with grizzlies. In 2004, a serial rapist in India named Aku Yadav was lynched by a mob of 200 of his alleged victims after they did not get justice in court. They stabbed him over 70 times, threw rocks and chili powder at his face, and even hacked off his, well, man bits with a vegetable knife. After the ordeal, all of the women involved claimed responsibility for the murder. Well, that's a feel-good fact. In 2005, the Golden State Fence Company in Southern California was hired to build part of the fence that separates the US and Mexico. However, ironically, just 1 year later in 2006, they were fined $5 million after it was discovered that they had hired illegal immigrant workers to build part of the fence. In 1993, a Chinese man named Hu Song-win was diagnosed with kidney failure. In 1999, after no longer being able to afford the hospital bills, he built his own dialysis machine which kept him alive for another 13 years. Since then, a new medical insurance scheme was introduced in China which now covers his treatments. When he was a freshman in 1987, a man named Mike Hayes got a friend who works at the Chicago Tribune to write him an article asking the millions who read it to donate 1 penny each towards his tuition. Immediately, pennies, nickels, and even larger donations came pouring in from all over the world. After accumulating the equivalent of 2.9 million pennies, he graduated and paid for his degree in food science. After being eliminated from the show Hell's Kitchen, contestants are immediately taken to get psychiatric evaluations and then to a house where they are pampered with back rubs, haircuts, and manicures. This is because the experience on the show is so draining that the producers don't want the eliminated contestants to kill themselves or someone else. In 2012, after spending 5 days in prison, a Korean man named Choi Gat-bok, who had practiced yoga for 23 years, escaped by slipping through a tiny food slot at the bottom of his cell door while the guards were sleeping. He was only 163 centimeters tall, and the slot was only 15 by 45 centimeters. Pomipon Adunadate, the current king of Thailand, was actually born in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the United States in 1927. When he was born, the hospital room that he was delivered in was briefly declared Thai territory so that he could be technically born on Thai soil. There is a hidden beach in the Marietta Islands in Mexico. It was originally formed in the 1900s by the Mexican government and used as a bomb site for preparation for the First World War. Today, the only way to get to this beach is by going through a small opening in a cavernous wall or being hoisted down by helicopter. Switzerland has enough nuclear shelters to accommodate 114% of its population. In fact, it's actually a legal requirement for the Swiss to have a protected place that can be reached quickly from their place of residence. A study conducted by Loma Linda University in 2010 concluded that laughter not only reduces stress, but increases the production of antibodies and kills the activity of tumor cells. So as it turns out, laughter really is the best medicine. There are more tigers held in captivity in the United States at 5,000 than there are running wild in the rest of the world at only 3,200. There's a chimpanzee in a Russian zoo named Zora that became addicted to booze and smoking after too many visitors began giving him alcoholic treats and cigarettes. In fact, in 2010, the chimp actually had to be sent to rehab to be treated for his addictions. Today, I'm happy to say he has happily recovered. Don't be giving booze and smokes to chimps. What the hell's wrong with you? Giannis Ikonomou, the chief translator in the European Commission, can speak 32 different languages. His native language is Greek, and he's the only in-house translator in the European Commission who's trusted to translate classified Chinese documents. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln grew his famous beard because he got a letter from an 11-year-old girl named Grace Bedell who said that all ladies liked the whiskers and that they would convince their husbands to vote for him for president. In 2013, Sean Conway became the first man ever to swim the entire length of Great Britain. The 1,400-kilometer trek took him 135 days, 90 of which were spent in water, the rest were spent avoiding bad weather and resting. There's a syndrome called the Tetris effect that occurs when people dedicate so much time and attention to an activity that it starts to pattern their thoughts, mental images, and dreams. Yasu Takamatsu, a 58-year-old Japanese man, began learning how to scuba dive in 2014 in order to find his wife's remains after she was swept away in the 2011 tsunami that hit Japan. The last time that he spoke to her, she told him, "I want to go home," and he wants to fulfill that wish for her. If you were to buy a PlayStation 4 in Brazil, it would cost you $1,845 American because of the country's heavy import taxes. In fact, it would be cheaper to buy a round-trip ticket from Brazil to the US. Experts believe that New York is home to as many as 800 languages, making it the most linguistically diverse city in the world. The red mushrooms featured in Nintendo's Mario games are based on a real species of fungi called Amantia muscaria. They're known for their hallucinogenic properties and can distort the size of perceived objects. This is also the same mushroom that is referenced in Alice in Wonderland. In 2013, France banned child beauty pageants because they promote the hypersexualization of minors. Anyone who organizes such a pageant could face jail time of up to 2 years and a fine of up to 30,000 euros. Before he was Iron Man, actor Robert Downey Jr. was a notorious drug addict. He credits his sobriety to, of all unlikely candidates, the fast food chain Burger King. In an interview with Britain's Empire magazine, he revealed that in 2003, he was driving a car full of drugs when he ordered a burger from Burger King that was so disgusting that he felt compelled to pull over, get out, and dump all of his drugs into the ocean. Well, that's a weird story. The Beatles never once stood for any kind of discrimination throughout their entire career. Their contracts always stipulated that they had the right to refuse to play for any segregated audience and demanded equality at their shows. During World War II, prisoners in Canadian war camps were so well treated that they were given games and entertainment like soccer tournaments and musical groups. In fact, when the war ended, many of them did not want to leave Canada. The rules of most airlines require that the pilot and co-pilot of a plane eat different meals. This is just in case one of the meals causes food poisoning. In 1938, Walt Disney was awarded an honorary Oscar for Snow White. The statuette that he received came with 7 mini statuettes on a stepped base. How cute is that? The keys to the holiest site in Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which was erected in 325 over the site where it's believed Christ was crucified, is actually held by 2 Muslims, which has been a tradition since 1187. In 2014, Budapest broke the world record for the tallest Lego tower ever built. Made of 450,000 colorful bricks and topped with an oversized Hungarian Rubik's Cube, the structure stands at 34.7 meters tall in front of St. Stephen's Basilica. In 2013, Google sent a lone employee to an abandoned Japanese island called Gunkanjima to map it for Google Street View. The island was once the most densely populated island in the world, but is now completely abandoned, and if it looks familiar, that's because it was the island used in the movie Skyfall. This is the famous Swedish ice hotel that's constructed every winter after it melts in the spring. In 2013, authorities made it a requirement to install fire alarms, even though the entire place is made of ice, just in case things like sleeping bags or pillows catch fire. This is Sir Nils Olav. He's a penguin that is an honorary member and mascot of the Norwegian King's Guard since 1972. He was officially knighted in 2008, but the penguin that was knighted at the ceremony was not the original Nils Olav, as that penguin died in the 1980s and instead was replaced by a 2-year-old penguin from the zoo. Yeah, that's weird. There is a species of fungi called the bleeding tooth. It's also called the strawberries and cream, and although non-toxic, is not edible. But seriously, who would ever want to try this thing anyway? In the early 1930s, a social movement called the technocracy movement became popular, although it eventually died out, which proposed replacing politicians and business people with scientists and engineers that could manage the economy. There is a side effect of sleep deprivation called microsleep, in which a person will fall asleep for a few seconds or even a few minutes without realizing it. It's extremely dangerous and has actually contributed to a large amount of traffic accidents. So get your sleep before you drive, baby. It's dangerous. In 2014, a competitive eater named Molly Schulier, who weighs only 57 kilograms, won 4 eating contests contests in only 3 days. She ate a total of 363 chicken wings, 59 pancakes, 5 pounds of bacon, and 5 pounds of barbecued meat. Yummy. The Centennial light bulb in Livermore, California has been burning since 1901 and is the world's longest lasting light bulb according to the Guinness Book of World Records. The bulb is at least 113 years old and has only been turned off a handful of times. The invention of the fire hydrant is generally credited to Frederick Graf Sr., although no one knows for 100% certainty who actually patented it. This is because, ironically, the patent for the first ever fire hydrant was destroyed when the office in Washington, D.C. caught fire in 1836. There is a 16-story office building in Osaka, Japan called the Gate Tower Building that has an entire highway that passes through the 5th, 6th, and 7th floors of the structure. That's some interesting architecture. Until the 1930s, the letter E was used to represent a failing grade in the US. However, that was changed to F as professors began to worry that their students would mistake E for excellent. In 2010, a man named Gary Richmond was beaten into a coma and woke up with amnesia, forgetting his girlfriend of 26 years and his daughter. However, after only 3 years of waking up, he fell in love all over again with his girlfriend, and they actually just got married in January of this year. How lovely. There is a school called Ordinary Miracle in Yoshkar-Ola, Russia that looks like a fairy tale castle. A man named Sergei Mamayev had it built for his wife, who wanted to teach at a school that children would actually want to go to. Forget going to school there, I want to live there. Pretty princess. In 1975, Professor Jack H. Hetherington from Michigan State University added his cat as a co-author to a theoretical paper that he had been working on. He did this because he mistakenly used words like we and our in the paper and didn't feel like revising it. Yeah, that's just a little bit lazy. And crazy. In April of 2014, the Danish government built an exact replica of their country in the online game Minecraft using 4 trillion Minecraft building blocks. It was intended for educational purposes, but within weeks, American players had invaded the game, planting American flags everywhere and blowing things up. America! In Finland, when you earn your PhD, you're given a doctoral hat that looks like a top hat as well as a doctoral sword. Like a sir. A man named Sogan Kato was thought to be the oldest man in Tokyo until 2010 when officials arrived at his home to wish him a happy 111th birthday only to find his mummified remains. As it turned out, he had been dead for 30 years while his family continued to collect his pension money. That just ain't right. Reciprocal liking is a psychological term used to describe when you start liking someone after you find out that they like you. It's a phenomenon that reflects the way people feel better about themselves and enjoy the company of those that provide them with positive feelings. The beautiful white sand beaches that you find in Hawaii are actually made up predominantly of fish poop. Larger parrotfishes produce as much as 381 kilograms of white sand per year. That takes a little bit of the magic away from it, doesn't it? I'm walking on poop! Contrary to popular belief, white spots on fingernails are not a sign of excess or deficiency of calcium or zinc or other vitamins in the diet. They are actually called leukonychia and are completely harmless and are most commonly caused by minor injuries that occur while the nail is growing. And that's it for this time, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give that like button a click, and if you'd like to see future videos from me, be sure to click that red subscribe button because I upload every Tuesday and Saturday. I love you guys, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you later on both my second channel and my social media. Peace.